host, Marcellus.
I am who I am. And if you don't know who I am, something got to be wrong with you.
Welcome to The Takeover. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome again to The Takeover. It's me, your host, the most all the way coast to coast, better than French toast, Marcellus, and I'm sitting here as usual with the co-host of this show.
Usually the greatest co-host in the entire country. No. We won't just limit this to the country. We'll expand it out to the world. I'm the greatest co-host in the world.
Even though he didn't know what GCHOAT was in the chat last week. Greatest co-host of all time. He didn't even get it. How's he going to be the greatest?
Well, that's what they call me. I don't know what they call me. It's just, they do that in the alleyways and in the secret places, you know.
The alleyways. I don't know why you would be spending much time in the alleyways. But anyway, this week on The Takeover, we're going to be, if we had to give it a subject, it'll be talk to me. Talk to me. We're going to be talking about communication, a big thing in our society, a big thing in our lives, on our jobs, everywhere. We're going to need communication to get through everything we do. Again, just as a reference, these are our thoughts and our thoughts only. His thoughts are his thoughts. My thoughts are my thoughts. Together, they are our thoughts. They're not necessarily indicative of the thoughts of Kingdom Heaven Ministries or Pastor Brown and Lady Francis Brown. So don't even try it. If you don't like what we say, add us. We're here. Leave it in chat, matter of fact. But anyway, we're going to just start with an intro scripture just to get the ball rolling. We're going to come out of Colossians 3, 8 through 10, Justice.
And I will say, this is probably my favorite part of this chapter in Colossians.
Oh, okay.
Yes, this is one of my favorite 3-part scriptures.
Well, why don't you tell them what it says?
Oh, okay. Well, I'll be honored to. Colossians 3, 8 through 10 in the New Living Translation says, "But now is the time to get rid of anger, rage, malicious behavior, slander, and dirty language."
Clean it up.
Verse number 9. "Don't lie to each other, for you have stripped off your old sinful nature and all its wicked deeds." Verse 10. "Put on your new nature and be renewed as you learn to know your Creator and become like Him."
Wow. So this is talking about our communication, how we talk, how we think, how we communicate. We got to get rid of this old sinful nature way of talking, the dirty language, the anger, the maliciousness, the slander we may used to do when we were in sin. And now in our new nature, our mind is renewed, so our communication should also be renewed. Correct, he says. But you know, Justice, before we jump head first into the deep end of communication, we got some current events going on in our nation, and we want to talk about them, of course, starting with the big one, COVID-19 and our COVID-19 Chronicles. Now, our very own state in Michigan, Justice told y'all a couple weeks ago that Michigan was doing very well along with New York. Well, we started to go the wrong way. We just had our 7-week high a couple days ago here in Michigan, highest for new cases of COVID-19. Folks, I just don't know how else to say. We got to be careful, and we got to approach things with a systematic approach and a measured approach to opening things back up. Don't just run out there. I know you saw some of the July 4th celebrations or beach parties and people just out here. I mean, they just out here. And this thing is real. These states Florida is still increasing at a scary rate. Texas trying to back down off of it. You got all kind of places across this country that's going up. But think about this, Justice. We're in July. Man, school should be starting next month.
Yeah, for the people in the South.
Actually, Michigan is supposed to start at the end of August.
Really?
Yes, sir. But what do they do? What do our elementaries, middle school, and our high schools do? I mean, how do they start in this pandemic?
That's a very loaded question. But I'm running for school board, so I've been practicing this answer. Anyways,
What school board are you running for?
Swartz Creek School Board.
Okay. I want everybody to be clear.
Yeah.
Not Flint.
Not Flint, no. Anyways, I feel like it's a difficult thing to do. You know, we got all these cases, and we're at the high in the summertime when this thing is at weakest in the year, throughout the entire year.
Supposedly.
Supposedly this thing is supposed, well, you know, they match data from other coronaviruses with this one. And, you know,
right.
Other coronaviruses, they're usually weaker during the summer. So the fact that we got all these new cases and this high at its weak point, what is it going to be in the fall when school starts back up? And in the wintertime when it's really going to kick up because we're all going to be indoors and we're all going to be, you know, spreading to each other. What are we going to do then? So
what's your recommendation, Mr. School Board running for?
Well, I mean, virtual school sounds like a good idea up here. But when you actually walk it out, you know, it's difficult to try and get everybody disciplined. You know, you probably got parents that's going to have to go back to work. So then what are they going to do? You know, and then you can open up the school, but you can't have too many people in one place at the same time, which kind of defeats the purpose of opening up school. So it's just an interesting time right now.
It's an interesting time. You're right. Kalamazoo schools are offering a variety of choices. Some fully virtual, some mixed, some on campus. They're trying to try everything to see what works, if you will. You know, throw it out there and see if it floats. But I got to tell you, we still got people acting crazy right up here in Saginaw, Michigan, just 30 minutes north of here, Valley Lutheran High School. They had a unofficial prom because they were so upset that their prom got canceled due to the pandemic that they had a prom at this banquet center. Now they basically got to put everybody on notice that was at this prom that they got to watch for symptoms and all this. Why, people? Why? I'm still seeing people out here, these basketball tournaments, these, open gym. If there's some protocol in place, these people have been tested that are in the gym, then I get it. That's a different story. But if you're just hoping everybody's fine because they look fine and therefore they should be fine, man, it don't work like that. This COVID-19 is not like that. You can look in the perfect health, as a lot of these sports stars are finding out. They're testing positive and they've not had a symptom. Race car driver Jimmy Johnson just recently tested positive and tested negative 3 days later. So he's got a lot of questions. He's like, was I carrying it for a long time and I didn't know it? Was it a false positive? Nobody knows. This thing is still so much unknown that we have to be super, super careful. Super, super careful. But speaking of super careful and how do we deal with this COVID, did you see that Governor Whitmer has required some training for healthcare workers? Mm-hmm. What do you think about that?
Well, the type of training that healthcare workers are supposed to get, you know, I don't know. I would think that. So let me give them the numbers then. Then I'll say what I got to say. Okay. So African American Michiganders represented 14% of the state's population, but 40% of confirmed COVID-19 deaths in which the race of the patient was known. And COVID-19 is over 4 times more prevalent among black Michiganders than among white Michiganders, which is interesting. But then you get into all these other political reasons why that could be the case. You know, statistically, African Americans are grouped kind of close to each other in terms of where the neighborhoods are situated and other things like that. But she's requiring that these healthcare workers do racial implicit bias training, which I would imagine that these healthcare workers should already have that should already be in the mindset, well, I got to help anybody no matter what they look like, no matter how much money they make. You know, you would want that. If you sick, if I go into the hospital and there's a billionaire sitting right next to me and there's just me, I would expect that they would have the same level of professionalism with me than with the billionaire.
But what is the reality? Forget what you expect.
But sometimes our reality isn't what we think it is.
I mean, statistics show that white patients get better care than black patients. Those are the numbers. That's not me reading into the numbers. You can look it up for yourself. Google it. Google is your friend. Google it. You don't have to take what I say. You don't have to take what I say for verbatim or what Justice, the numbers he gave you. Look them up. But they're real. They're real. Now, implicit bias training goes beyond just training about COVID, but it trains about underlying health conditions, about what healthcare workers should be looking for, and maybe that they don't understand about other races, and maybe they should understand that moving forward, because this disease, this virus, I should say, is so deadly in one particular community, in the black community. I mean, think about that. That 4 times more likely is a lot. That's not anything to scoff at. Those numbers are great, and so we can't act like it doesn't exist and act like we're doing fine, and so we don't have to worry about it. Yes, we do. I mean, these colleges all over the country, just as colleges that make millions of dollars every year from athletics, they're canceling or postponing or partially canceling the Big Ten. They canceled all their out-of-conference games. So each school generally plays 3 out-of-conference games. So they're getting rid of those games. Well, the trickle-down effect is Central Michigan, for example, a MAC school, for those of you who don't know, they were going to play 2 of those games. So they're going to lose over $2 million because the Big Ten canceled those games. So it doesn't just affect the conferences that are there. That one school is going to lose over $2 million. So think about this. That had to be a very difficult decision and show you how serious this is. When the money starts falling, you know it's serious. The Ivy League has decided not to have sports in the fall at all. So did Morehouse College, one of your smaller HBCUs. So colleges are really making some hard financial decisions with this COVID and with all of this going on. So please, by all means, take it seriously. Continue to physically distance. Continue to wear your face covering when you out. Did you see the press conference today from the governor? Mm-mm. She put out a new executive order today that says if you don't wear your face mask while you're out, you are subject to up to a $500 fine. Mm-mm. You must wear your face covering in public space.
Now, I think that's a little too dramatic, you know?
No, I don't know.
Like, you don't know? Mm-mm. Okay. Because I feel like you can say, okay, the businesses and all these different places can have their, you know, they can say, okay, you can wear a mask in here. And she can require those businesses to say that you must, you can't let somebody in if they don't have a mask on. You can require that. But if I'm out doing my thing and a police officer comes over to me, he's just like, you don't have a mask on? What's he going to do? He's going to take me in and give me a $500 fine?
Depends on where you're at.
Because I don't have a mask on.
Depends on where you're at.
I just feel like that's ridiculous.
You're not in a public space. You don't have to worry about it.
Well, I mean, wherever I am. For whatever reason, I don't have a mask on. I wear my mask everywhere anyway. So I don't have to worry about it. But, you know, that one time I don't. I feel like that could be the one time.
So let me ask you this. You are a person who's proud of this country, right?
Correct.
Do you feel like, I mean, I know you didn't go to the military, but you feel like, you know, similar to military guys, that you would do your best to represent this country in a great way. You would do a lot for this country to represent this country.
Yeah.
So when this country asks you to wear a mask, somehow it's a problem.
This country. Okay. All right.
I'm just saying.
I mean, it's not. I don't think that's the same thing, though. I just don't think that's the same thing.
Well, it's the same. Because, see, here's the thing. Here's what we don't understand about face coverings. They're not for you. You're not wearing it for yourself. You're wearing it for the person that you're in contact with, for the people that you're coming in contact with. So stop being selfish. If you don't like wearing a mask, so what? Do it for the other person that needs it. Do it for the person who has the weakened immune system. Do it for the person who just got over cancer, who has a low white cell blood count that is susceptible to virus. Do it for the person who just lost their father to COVID. Do it for the lady who lost her son and her husband to COVID, who has to have a reasonable fear of this virus. Do it for your children. Do it for your grandparents. Do it for your parents. Forget you. Stop being so selfish. And so that's the part I don't understand. That's the part I don't get about it is, yes, we can be reasonable and say if you're sitting by yourself in your car, you ain't got no reason to wear no mask. Take your mask off. Relax. You walking down the street, exercising, and it's prohibiting your breathing. I get it. Take your mask off. And so does Governor Whitmer. She doesn't require it in those situations. You have a medical condition that you can't wear a mask. I get it. There's very few of those medical conditions, by the way. Doctors have come out and say that asthma and even COPD aren't cause to not wear a mask. But anyway. And speaking of that, please stop with the fake mask cards that people are carrying around that reference the ADA and some phantom mask wearing group that doesn't exist. Stop with those cards. That's not. You're just making up stuff to be controversial. Don't do that. But this mandate that she put, it didn't change anything except that there's a penalty for not doing it. See, that's the thing. That's why I wanted to get a real reaction from Justice, is to see what the reaction would be. It didn't change a thing. The wording is exactly the same, except there's a penalty. Because businesses were saying, well, how do we enforce it if there's no penalty? If there's no real penalty, what do we do? How do we make people comply? Do we literally throw them out? Subject ourselves to physical confrontation? What do we do? And so, at the very least, this brings some clarity to the idea that there is a potential penalty. Now, enforcing it is still going to be difficult. Enforcing a penalty is still going to be hard to do, and something that not a lot of people are going to be able to do. But if you're out in a public space, and a public space means a shared space, doesn't matter if you're in a private company, if you're in a private building, that doesn't matter. You're in a shared space. This applies to all the shared spaces. Wear your mask if you cannot maintain 6 feet of distancing, and that provision is in there. If you're somewhere where you can maintain proper distancing, you don't have to wear a mask. So it's really only asking you to do what's right. Either physically distance or put your mask on. That's all it's asking you to do. It's really not that hard. But Justice's response is going to be the response of a lot of people. So he is certainly not alone. And there's going to be a lot of people that are even worse. And they're going to call her a control freak, and they're going to call her every name in the book over a mask. Over a mask. You know, we got people protesting, carrying guns. I'll die for my country, my rights, but I won't wear a mask. Doesn't make sense. Just wear the mask. But in other news, I just wanted to mention, I mentioned HBCUs earlier when I talked about Morehouse, but for my sports people, Howard University just got a big time commit, 5-star, 7-footer, McCord Maker, chose to go to Howard over Kentucky, over, your Michigan States, over all your blue blood programs, your Dukes. He chose Howard over all of them, the top prospect to go to a HBCU since ESPN started ranking the prospects in, I think, 2007. And the first top elite prospects in over 40 years to go to a HBCU. So this is a huge step to potentially bring light to our HBCU programs, where some of our big time athletes will start back attending just like they used to do in the past with the Walter Paytons and Michael Strahans and the Jerry Rices and those guys like that chose to go to HBCUs and get that family experience, is what McCour Maker said. He said it just felt like family. He felt home. He's from the South Sudan, so he certainly knows, what being in a foreign land feels like, and kudos to him. I hope he changes the culture for years to come, and hopefully other players follow suit, because it's important that our HBCUs are shown to provide greatly for athletes too. And now there's a lot of work to be done, because the budgets at the HBCUs are far smaller. I think Howard's endowment was, I don't know, maybe $50 million, whereas Harvard University's endowment was 3-point-something billion, something like that. So we're talking M's and B's at some of these schools. So, we got to get money flowing through alumni. We got to get some endowments. We got to get more athletes going. That'll bring TV revenue. That'll bring a lot of things so that they can build facilities up, things of that nature. So shout out to you, McCour Maker. And I know I might have lost a few of you going that deep in sports talk, but hey, it's important because it's a current event that's going on. I know I lost Justice, but we're back because he knows nothing about sports. Justice, I got a question for you. Matter of fact, I got a question for everybody out there. So I want you to answer this in the chat. If you're watching this after the live chat, answer it in our comment section. Who thinks they communicate well? That's a pretty simple question. Who thinks they communicate well? Do you think you communicate well?
I think there's room for improvement.
Didn't ask you that. Somebody help me. But anyway, let me ask you the follow-up question. If you think you communicate well, or even if you don't, answer this. How would you convey the color red to a blind person? How could you convey the color red to a blind person that's been blind their entire life and never seen it before? No, really. How would you, Justice?
I don't know, man.
You got nothing?
I got nothing. I mean, he's seen darkness his whole life. I don't know how to explain the lighter shade of darkness.
Lighter shade of darkness. I've never heard red described that way. Anybody out there got any good ones? Hopefully you do. And we'll talk about more about this later, but I just want you to keep this in mind. Communication is so vast and so deep that thinking about how we would communicate to people that don't have the same faculties as us is very important, and it's very important to us growing as communicators. So we have to look at all aspects of communication. And speaking of communication, what is kingdom communication, Justice?
My favorite part. All right. Kingdom communication is, and obviously this comes from Words in a Different Light, Pastor Brown's book. Amen, Pastor Brown. Kingdom communication is conveying an open, meaningful message, offering understanding by nurturing, instructing, and comforting with accurate, thoughtful, insightful opportunities that nurture success. Now that's a mouthful.
That is a mouthful.
It's a big word.
What does that mean to you?
Conveying open. Communication is a lot more than just like, okay, I'm going to go to McDonald's real quick and I'll be right back. I'll see you later. Communication is conveying open, meaningful message. So it means that I'm telling them, I'm going to McDonald's. I'll be right back. But he's got an understanding now. Okay? you have an understanding that I'm going to leave and go. So that means that whatever I got going on right now, I got to stop doing it. He's like, okay, so if I'm working on something, I got to go to McDonald's right quick.
I think it would be better if you asked me if I wanted something.
Oh.
That would have been the best communication. I thought I was waiting for that part of you say, hey, I'm going to ask you if you want something because I'm going. But in using this example, let's just say I was responsible for Justice for whatever reason. If he was, I had told his parents I'd be responsible for him, I would want to know more. What McDonald's are you going to? Not just I'm going to McDonald's, I'll be back. Okay, what McDonald's are you going to? You coming right back. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a way to communicate more than even just a simple, it's more than talking. It's how you talk. It's your tone. It's a lot of things that are involved in there. And what I like about what Pastor Brown said is, he said is offering understanding. So I'm just not talking to you to talk at you. I'm talking to you to get you to understand. And I have to do that by nurturing, instructing, and comforting while being accurate. Very important. You communicate some garbage, that's not helping anybody. Okay? So how we're going to be successful in that communication is being accurate, thoughtful, insightful. And those are some good things. And he defines it by saying communication is making contact through a common language that informs, instructs, directs, and comforts by providing the reassurance that supports the expansion and advancement of the kingdom of God and for experiencing and enjoying of the kingdom lifestyle. There's 3 laws. There goes communication: connect, unite, convey, transmit, and capture to assimilate. That, again, is a mouthful. Making contact through a common language. You ever been flipping the channels and you come upon the Espanol and you don't know Espanol? That communication is not happening to you. You're not getting it. Let's just say, for example, I stopped talking. But I'm thinking something. And I'm trying to get Justice to figure out what I'm thinking. How does that work if he doesn't have a common language in my mind?
Okay.
He can't read my thoughts. There's no way for him. I can't communicate that to him because he can't read my thoughts. So I can't just think and he'll pick it up. It doesn't work like that. Now they say maybe twins might have a little, potentially, but in general, it doesn't work like that. That's why it's very important that we learn how to communicate. We learn how to use common language points and things of that nature. It's much more than just talking, because like Justice, sometimes I look at the dictionary, but I'm more of a Merriam-Webster dictionary myself. And it says, Merriam-Webster says that communication is a process by which information is exchanged between individuals through a common system of symbols, signs, or behavior. That's why me stopping talking and just thinking doesn't work for him, or it doesn't work for you, because we don't have a common system of symbols and signs in my head that you can go to and know what information is being exchanged. So there's no exchange of information when I do that. So think about it like that. Communication is much more than just talking. It's an exchange of information. And that's what Pastor said also. What else did Merriam-Webster say, Justice?
I don't like Merriam-Webster.
You'll be all right.
Well, he said communication is an opportunity to be effective.
Well, that's what I said.
Oh, okay. Well, he said, Miriam is a girl's name, I thought.
Man, just read it.
Are you okay? Merriam-Webster says communication is information transmitted or conveyed. It's an opportunity to be effective or affected.
Or what?
I got the or affected.
Okay.
With the A. And I feel like communication isn't complete, or it's not successful until, so like for example, using the McDonald's example again. I'm going to go to McDonald's. I'll be right back. You have to receive the information, understand it. Then you have to transmit that you have received and understand it back to me. It's not completely successful if you don't understand. And I'm gone. Mm-hmm. You thinking, okay, what McDonald's is he going to? How long is he going to take? Is he going to be right back? He got this work to do.
Why didn't he get my order? I'm still hungry. But it's funny because your mom always says, your mother, Daria, she always says, message sent is not message received often. And that's what she's saying, is that you don't get that communication until the message you send is received in that same way. And that's when that communication loop, opportunity to be effective or affected. So when you're communicating, you're either giving somebody information, nurturing, accurate instruction, we talked about that earlier, or you're being affected by communication. And communication works both ways. Are you being effective or being affected? And we see that in the Bible in 1 Corinthians 15, 33 and 34. In our New Living Translation, it says, don't be fooled by those who say such things, for bad company corrupts good character. Think carefully about what is right and stop sinning. For to your shame, I say that some of you don't know God at all. Ooh-wee. Paul was not playing. So don't be fooled by what people are saying. If you hang around in bad company, it corrupts your good character. Either one thing is going to happen. You're either going to rub off on them or they're going to rub off on you. That's it. One of those two things is going to happen. So make sure that you're being effective, not just being affected by it. And I know, Justice, you said a couple times that there's certain books that we don't speak out of much. Mm-hmm. You got another one.
This is a controversial one, though. Because do you pronounce it Philemon or Philemon?
Or Philemon.
Or Philemon. Who knows? But God knows. Anyways, coming out of Philemon 1:6.
Sound like a filet mignon. I told you I was hungry.
Maybe they was hungry when they wrote this book. Anyways, Philemon 1:6. And I pray that the sharing of your faith may become effective for the full knowledge of every good thing that is in us for the sake of Christ. Our faith, we have to tell people about our faith so they can get that received message, because that's our job on this planet, is to make sure that other people know about God. And communication is very important in that too, because like I guess my mom always said, I don't know. Anyways, I hope she's not watching.
You don't know how much she rubs off on you, apparently.
Oh boy. Anyways, message sent, not always message received.
Why is that though? I mean, think about this. It's more than just, because if I send you a message, you should, if you're of sound mind, you should be able to receive that message. But it's more than words, right? Experts say that communication is 10% words and 90% body language and tone. 90% body language and tone. It's, y'all parents know for sure. Those are your parents. When you say, Justice, come here, it's a lot different than Justice, Lonnie William Brown, come here right now.
We didn't need to go the middle name route.
When you get that middle name in there, you know it's serious. It's serious. But that tone changed. And that Justice would receive that a lot differently because of the tone. And sometimes we have to be careful because our tone doesn't match the message that we're trying to convey. And I know I have that issue sometimes. My voice will get loud when I'm not angry. I'm just passionate about what I'm saying. But it appears that because I'm the tone is and my body language, because my face might frown up and stuff. I got it naturally. I got it from my dad. So don't look at me, at him. But we got to think about that as we're communicating. And that's why there's so many misunderstandings on written messages, Facebook, Twitter, email, text, etc. Because you can't read body language and tone in a message. We assume it, right? So it's not explicit in that message unless they use like all caps and they put a bunch of exclamation points or something like that where it's very clear. But you can read it, Justice and I can read the same thing two different ways, and it literally is the same words because I'm making one assumption about the sender and he's making another assumption. And that's why written communication is maybe even harder than verbal communication. And if you come across the wrong way, you can eliminate the effect of your words. So if I'm trying to convey a message and I come across aggressive, I come across rough, even if what I'm saying is true, it might not be received because all they can focus on is why I'm yelling at them. And so we have to be very careful about how we come across and how we present ourselves. I mean, think about presentation like this, Justice. We talked about filet mignon, and we talked about filet mignon. We talked about filet mignon. But do you like steak? Do you eat steak?
Not necessarily.
Not a steak guy?
No, not really.
What's your favorite food?
That's a good question. Probably fettuccine Alfredo with shrimp and grilled chicken with a little bit of lemon.
Fettuccine, not fettuccine. I don't know what he's talking about. Fettuccine Alfredo with shrimp and chicken. So,
grilled chicken with lemon.
Grilled chicken. Sorry, with a little lemon.
See how I did my tone like that?
Yeah. see how you got aggressive body language? But okay, so check this out. I'm going to prepare Justice the favorite meal. I got fettuccine Alfredo skills he don't even know about. Got shrimp freshly caught from the Gulf. Chicken grilled to perfection with a little lemon on the grilled chicken because they add a little extra lemon kick. You don't even know about that. But when I get it all prepared, I go serve it to him. I take the lid of my garbage can and I turn it upside down and I serve him on the garbage can. How is that going to be received?
As long as it's clean, I'm going to throw down.
Why would it be clean? It's my garbage can.
What you throwing away?
Everything.
The lid? Okay. Anyways. No, I probably wouldn't need it then.
Probably?
No, probably not. It might just take the top off and then leave the bottom.
I'll tell you right now, I ain't eating none of that. And I might slap you with it. I might throw it at you.
Why are you so mad at me in this scenario?
I'm not mad at you in this scenario. I'm saying if you had given me that food like that,
okay,
I would have been upset because I would have wanted to eat the food and then you'd have presented it to me in a terrible way. But when we come across the wrong way, it can eliminate the effect. So even if the food is great, it looks good, it might even taste good, but when you come across in the wrong way, it can eliminate that effect. And now, just going to turn that lid back over into the garbage can and toss it. So think about that. When you're communicating, think about that. Think about that example that we just said. Justice, let's get into some communication issues that we're having right now. What's some of the communication issues we're having right now?
Well, social media is interfering with our communication. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, text message, whatever kind of social media you use. And in a way, we've kind of let this social media and this technology run our lives. And they have affected our speech. They have affected how we talk to each other. They've affected how we talk to each other. So back in the day, you probably like, when I say I got to go use the bathroom, I got probably Marcellus, with the accent. I must use the restroom. I'm going to go now. Now you just be like, hey, I'm about to go use the bathroom. Maybe you give them a little bit more information. Hey, I'm about to go pee.
Why would you tell anybody that on social media?
I'm talking about speech.
We talking about social media.
Well, okay.
Stay with me.
So, we could communicate weird on social media. Some people like to say what they're doing right now. They like to give you a status update of their lives. Like, I just woke up. Cool. Okay. Hey, I'm in class. I'm bored. Hit me up. I'm trying to, learn the young people speech. I learned that.
HMU.
What?
That's the HMU. That's what it means when they put it in.
Oh, hit me up. Okay. I learned something new today too.
Justice is so old. It's the oldest 19-year-old you ever want to see.
Yes. I still listen to Kojic music. In fact, I found a whole playlist on Spotify.
That's not what makes them old. But anyway, like you said, we've gotten to the point where we want to open up our whole lives. First of all, why? Nobody cares that you just woke up. Nobody cares that you're really in class bored. And the thing about it is, we start to judge our value on the responses to those statements. So if literally nobody cares and nobody responds and likes it or anything like that, then it's like, oh man, I'm not very popular. Oh man, I'm not all that. And that leads to other issues, but stop opening up the door to your life. People should know every time you leave your house. Think about it. You open up the door to thieves. Oh, I'm on vacation for 2 weeks. How are you?
Peace.
You don't know that 20 posts ago you put where you lived at and a picture of your house in the background that showed the address. So they just wait. Oh, you gone? Okay. 2 years ago, you put on that you got 3 new 55-inch TVs and you got a new PlayStation 4 and you got this and that, and now it's just all sitting there for the taking. So stop putting all your life on there. Nobody should know that you're going out of town except for the people that should know, meaning your people that care about you and you care about them. Keep that stuff private. You're opening your door to thieves and to people to take advantage of you. And then it lends us a lot of times to poor grammar. And I think Justice was alluding to this. When we type on social media, we use a lot of shorthand, right? Twitter gives you so many characters, and it used to be less than it is now. Now they give you so much more, so you can get a whole message out. But, I pulled up some messages on social media just scrolling through my timeline. And I'm telling you, I saw some of the worst spelling, pronunciation, punctuation, I should say. Just look, listen to this. Dang, you used to be my boo, even though you never had took me serious. I kind of wish you did though, but hey, it's the past.
The past?
With zero punctuation in that. Mm-hmm. Zero. But this is how we start. Young people, you start writing this way. You get so used to it, you start writing your papers this way. You're taking a test and you're writing your answers using the letter U instead of Y-O-U because you done got lazy. Or using a number 2 instead of T-O. Or using the letter B instead of B-E.
It's just one more letter, though. B and E. Just put the other E.
Just put the E. Just put the E. Come on, y'all. Just put the E. And can we understand a comma somewhere? Semicolon? Anywhere? I mean, come on, man. Come on. Y'all making English teachers around the world shrug their shoulders. And then, the spelling, liar spelled L-I-E-R, just things like that. And then we say stuff like, we all go eat this year. What? Now, I understand the vernacular and what you're trying to say, but I understand that you also didn't say it. It's not we go eat. We're all going to eat. Like go and going to aren't the same thing. Now, if you had I can see a little slang. You put gonna or gone to. That's some slang.
It's weird too.
But we all go eat. Come on, y'all. And then you got people that's posting rap lyrics every 3 seconds. Like them aren't your thoughts. That was that rapper's thoughts. Let that man or that woman have their thoughts and stop. That's not your main ideology. Now, I'm not saying you can't agree with something somebody says, but if that's all you doing, you're really just not even representing yourself. So these are the kind of some of the issues that we can have communication wise if we're not careful.
Well, there's some more issues. One of them is obviously I grew up with some very strong men in my life. My dad, my grandfather, you, and the what's the word I'm trying to use here? The general
man up.
What?
I'm just kidding.
Anyways,
the consensus.
The consensus was part of it had to do with posture and how you talk to people.
Mm-hmm.
If you're talking to somebody important like another pastor, or you at dinner with a girl, you on a date, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying.
But, sit up when you're talking to somebody. Don't be like this. Sit up. Look at them in the eye. Speak clear with direction, but not too much that you overpower. And don't be like, I like your hair today. That's too much. Direct.
That was too much. That was funny though. Oh man.
And don't be too creepy with your eye. Don't be staring at them with the eyeball.
So
that's
funny.
weird. You can look down every once in a while.
I got 2 examples of that, Justice. 2 examples. One of them is my nephew Joseph, who should be watching. But when he played basketball for my AAU team, I had a coach come in and speak to the team that didn't know the guys. I knew him for a long time. I know him, been knowing him for a long time. And one of the things, and Joseph will tell you, he wasn't one of my best basketball players on that team. But after that meeting where the coach spoke to him, the coach said to me, he said, and he actually said it to the group, he said, I can tell you there's at least one person in here that's going to be successful. And he called him out. And it was because he was like, every word that I'm saying, he's looking like he's staring a hole in my mouth because he's paying attention. He's that focused. And I took it to heart. Joseph took it to heart, and he is successful, and that's part of his training, and part of the things that he does is he pays attention, and it's important. And then I can tell you on the negative side, just recently, my boss at work had to deal with some employees that had a complaint, and in his nature to sit back when he's thinking, and he puts his hands behind his head like that. And boy, you talking about ticking off some employees. They did not like that at all, because to them, it meant he was taking them casually and they were not seriously. And that was annoying to them and very disappointing. So your posture, your inflection, your tone can mean so much. And those are some of the issues we have. Hey man, you know what? Another issue is folks trying to be too deep for the sheep. Now, that is too deep for the sheep is something one of our elders used to say to us back in my old church, Dana Cheney. Dana, if you ever see this, this was your saying. But he used to always say too deep for the sheep, man. And sometimes people get on social media or they're trying to communicate and they're trying to sound smart instead of just being smart. You know what I'm saying? Look up research first before you put something out there. It's real easy to do, But remember, Google is your friend and your enemy, because everything on Google is not true. You got to make sure that you check it out. You research more than one source. You find a reliable source, not just Wikipedia. There's other stuff out there, guys. There's other research sources out there to use. So make sure you're doing that. I mean, a lot of people are posting stuff on Facebook. Actually, an athlete just got himself in some hot water because he posted a quote that was attributed to Adolf Hitler that Adolf Hitler actually never said. But he posted that quote. It angered the Jewish community. He had to come out backpedaling, apologizing. His owner of his team is Jewish. It got ugly. Then another guy kind of tried to come in and have his back. And so now his message has been diluted. So when you get out there and you trying to sound smart, sometimes it just dilutes the message that you are saying. And so you got to be real careful about that, because confusion can reign from it. So just no need to try to be too deep for the sheep. Say what you got to say what you need to say, but research it first, because it's you don't want to confuse your friends, right? You're trying to communicate something to your friends. You want to make sure you don't confuse them. Speaking of your friend, the Takeover, this episode of the Takeover is brought to you by none other than the deluxe Miracle Jesus action figure. I know you want one of those. I can tell. I can look at your face and tell you want one. This special edition Jesus comes complete with glow-in-the-dark hands so you can see him work miracles in both day and night. Each one comes with not one, but 2 miracles included. This one that you see in front of you turns water into wine and feeds the multitude with 5 loaves and 2 fish. What child or even adult wouldn't want this in their collection? He is raising his hand because he is so anxious. Get yours today only while supplies last at 1-888-BUY-JESUS. And if you call right now, a 3rd miracle of walking on water will be added to your purchase. Get yours today.
Couldn't we get someone normal like Walmart or like Vitamin Water to sponsor this video?
We don't have that type of money.
Okay.
So, Justice, how do we fix these communication problems? How do we fix them?
Well, people, we need to listen in order to hear.
Okay, wait now. That's deep now.
Some people, they just keep listening to you.
Okay.
Like, I could tell you got a stain on your shirt. Mm-hmm. You can listen to what I said and be like, okay. And then you won't take care of the stain. But if you heard me, you got that understanding on the inside.
All the way on the inside.
Ooh-wee. Then you're going to do something about it.
Okay.
Hear.
Listen in order to hear.
Yes.
I like it. So we talking about active listening, right? Like if I'm listening to you, we talked about maintaining eye contact. One of the tricks we use is the question. So if Justice tells me something, I might question and say, okay, did you say X, Y, and Z? And that'll show that I heard and I was listening to what he said, because he can say yay or nay. No, I didn't say that, but what I said was this. Or he can say, yeah, that's exactly what I said. And then that shows that other person that you were listening actively. And listening first, it saves embarrassment. Because you go out there and you want to just respond to what somebody was saying. You ain't heard not word one of what they said. You just was eager to get your point across. And then you say something exactly what they just said 5 minutes ago. And you all angry about it. And then you got to listen to them say, man, I just said that. If you had to just listen, you didn't have to go off like that. So if you listen first, it'll save you some embarrassment. The Bible says in James 1:19, and I like this in the King James, the King James version, says, wherefore, my beloved brethren, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, and slow to wrath. Stop talking so doggone much and listen first. Listen first. We got 2 ears, 1 mouth. Use the 2. There's a reason why we got 2 of them, so we can hear a little bit better. But what's going on with hearing? Because you mentioned that, and you talked about listening, hearing, and I know for a long time, if you're like me, we heard that we should listen and not just hear. But you said the opposite. We should hear, not just listen. So what's going on with hearing?
Yeah, if you only listen, you only get half of what's going on. See, you got to hear, because faith comes by hearing.
Okay.
It doesn't come by listening.
Oh, watch out.
Ooh, man, okay. Faith comes by hearing. And this is in the New Living Translation, by the way. Okay. All right, Romans 10:17. So faith comes from hearing, that is, hearing the good news about Christ. I imagine that the disciples weren't just listening to Jesus. They were, obviously, but they heard him, and they wrote what they heard. So now that we could get the understand.
We got to tell people what hearing is, because you own something with this hearing, but tell them what it is.
Well, kingdom hearing, this is in words in different light. Kingdom hearing is having an eagerness to accept, receive, and incorporate, to nurture godliness, eagerness. You got to be eager to accept it.
Not just, if I'm listening, I'm just taking in what you're saying surface level.
You taking it in here.
Right.
You were able to process what I'm saying.
Okay.
But you're not putting it in here.
Oh, okay. Okay.
See, hearing, listening, you get it in here.
All right.
But hearing is like, okay, now it's transferring into my heart. See what I did there?
Because I was eager.
Because you were eager to accept what was said, what you read, whatever.
But not just accept it, but incorporate and receive it.
Right.
Okay. Wow. Hearing is allowing the word to register, reward, rectify, and regulate your attitude, actions, and achievements for expansion and advancement of the kingdom of God. That's a lot in and of itself. You need to allow the word to make these changes. Not only is the word going to register inside you, but it's also going to reward you when you're doing what you're supposed to do. It's going to rectify you when you're not. It's going to regulate you when you get off a little bit. Your attitude start to waver. The word will get that back in action. Back in line, and your actions will show that. And that's what we need to, that's what Justice is referencing. We listen in order to hear. And I know, like I said, I know we've heard it different in years, but boy, that sounded good. So another way we can fix it is just say what we mean and mean what we say. And then keep it clean. Keep it clean, okay? Just the Matthew 5:7 in NLT. I like this, Justice. It said, just say a simple yes, I will, or no, I won't. And the King James said, let your yea be yea, your nay be nay. But then it says, anything beyond this is from the evil one.
Oh wow.
Whoa. And we don't be thinking about it like that, do we? So we don't need to be swearing to God, so to speak, or put anything on my mama, or I put this on my baby, I put this on everything. You don't need to do all that. If your word is your word and your word is your bond, then just yes, I will, no, I won't will suffice. Say what you mean what you say. And then keep it clean.
Keep it clean. And that means, obviously don't use an abusive language or like swearing or anything. Because in Ephesians 4:29 in the New Living Translation, it says, don't use foul or abusive language. Let everything you say be good and helpful, so that your words will be an encouragement to those who, hear them. See, if you were talking to anyone like me, I pretty much stop hearing you when the language goes too far. It is unnecessary.
The funny thing, you say that because somebody told me this a long time ago. I never forgot it. Because I wasn't always, I used to cuss a little bit. I used to cuss a little bit in my younger years, especially when I played basketball. Something about getting agitated on the basketball court that would make me just go into that mode. But somebody told me a long time ago during those teenage years that people cuss because their vocabulary is too small to express themselves. And I was like, whoa. I got a large vocabulary in my mind, so I don't want people to think that I don't. And I was like, man, it stuck with me. To this day, obviously. And I do realize there's other reasons, that they may curse out of frustration. I think we do that because we can't control our emotions. And that's another thing I didn't want to be. I didn't want to be out of control. So when I put those two things together, I didn't want to be out of control because I was taught that dogs go mad. That's what mad means, out of control, not humans. We shouldn't be mad. So I didn't want to be out of control, and I didn't want people to think I had a limited vocabulary. So that's why I cut the cussing out of my language, because in addition to just the Bible saying not to, but in addition to that, sometimes you got to make it practical for yourself, right? Sometimes you got to make it practical, and that was my practical way of doing it. You can borrow that if you want to. But pay attention also. Another way to fix it, pay attention to your body language and your tone clues that you're using. So if you do, like I said earlier, if you're yelling, if you're pointing at folks, we talked about that a few weeks ago, you're pointing at people, all those things are body language. Or you standing there like this, or somebody talking to you. Look at that. I don't look like I'm receiving anything. A lot of time it don't even matter what you say. People looking at that body language and like, nah, he didn't get it. And the last way we can fix it is what?
you learn from each experience, and you grow because of what you learned. You see, like with Marcellus, he said he used to cuss, which, it's hard to believe because you look at him now and he's just like almost perfection. Look at him. He obviously he grew from that experience that he had, and that's important. And obviously, all of us have some improvement to make with communication. I do. I got a lot of improvement to make. But with each experience, you learn more, and because you have that eagerness to accept.
And we're still growing, right?
We're still growing.
So that's why you have to learn from each one. But let me say this, not just the experience. Learn from the people around you. Learn from other people's experiences. Learn through revelation. So if I reveal something to Justice, he got to be able to learn from that. And if he trusts me, right? You're not going to just take everything from anybody. But if he trusts me and I'm giving him some knowledge and I'm saying, look, man, I've been down this path. This is what comes from that. He can learn from that without having to experience it. I tell people all the time, I don't want to experience getting shot. I have no desire to experience it. I believe everybody that got shot that said it hurt. I believe you. I am not looking to experience it at all. I'm going to take that revelation and I'm going to act accordingly, right? So learn from each experience, but also learn from everybody else's experiences. And as we close, I just want to make a couple requests from you, if that's okay. First request is we want you to pray for us. I mean, like I said, this is not always easy. There's some topics that's not easy. This one is actually not a bad one to deal with, but pray for us. We need prayer. We need prayer just like everybody else. So continue to lift us up in prayer. What else do we want them to do, Justice?
Well, obviously, we want you to like this video. If you like what we're saying, if you like what we're doing, hit that like. No, don't just hit it. Smash it. Punch it. Do what you got to do.
Get that thumbs up.
But we won't be responsible for any broken devices.
Yeah, don't damage your computer.
But you can share this video. You can share the channel. You can also subscribe. That right there, we had 40 subscribers. And I was so excited. I almost jumped out of my seat. But I contained myself.
You contained yourself.
Contained myself.
That's up. I mean, that's up 6 subscribers in the last couple of weeks.
That's a good thing.
It's a great thing. That means that we're doing something right. And like I said, it's not going to be for everybody, but it's for somebody. And that's what's important to us. It's not everything we do is not for everybody, but it is for somebody, and somebody will benefit. And that's why we do what we do. And then obviously tell people about us. Tell people about the show. Send it via text. Send a link via text. Even after today, after the live chat, send it to people. They can still come to the channel and check it out, and find out some good things. Final words, Justice. After hearing all this, all we've talked about, does anybody have any new thoughts on how they might explain that color red to a blind person?
Well, you know what? I'm going to go to the beach.
Okay.
And I'm going to go get some sand.
Oh.
And I'm going to spit on the sand.
Little Jesus, huh?
And I'm going to let them see red.
This boy. Yeah. Remember when I asked y'all to pray for us? That's what I meant. Let me tell you what I would do. Because I don't have the answer, right? But this is what I would do. This is my idea. You know how when you close your eyes real tight for an extended period of time, you start to see color flash before your eyes? Well, the main color that I see when I do that is red. When I squeeze my eyes real tight, super tight. Some of y'all trying it right now. I can tell you're trying it right now. And that's what I would try to get them to do, is just squeeze their eyes real tight and hopefully pray that that red will flash before them. And that's the reason why I said that is just thinking outside the box. Just trying to communicate in a way that might help somebody who doesn't have the same ability to communicate that I do. And our sight is one of our communication tools. So I just want to throw that out as my idea, as an example of thinking outside the box. But as we leave here, we want to give them one more, Justice. One more as we leave. Luke 8:18 in the New Living Translation. It says, Get this. So pay attention to how you hear. To those who listen to my teaching, more understanding will be given. But for those who are not listening, even what they think they understand will be taken away from them. And that's Jesus obviously talking. So take that to mind. Pay attention to how you hear, not just what you hear. All right? Till next week, we'll see you. God bless you.
You know, hopefully Mrs. Brown has been hearing my pleas for the last 2 years.
And not just listening.
And not just listening. Yeah.
2 years, though. Good Lord.
Yes. And amen.